So, welcome to Florida. Is the weather significantly different from
It's
PA?
actually
It's
nicer.
not. It is much cooler here
Yeah.
than PA right now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I think Philly just saw their hottest day on Tuesday in over a decade.
Wow.
So
Yeah, it was like 100
Seems
degrees.
like it's kind of nice here in
Yeah.
Florida.
It's,
There's the
it's
beach
yeah.
right there.
We're
Came
not
from
complaining.
where are they from? Pittsburgh, I think.
Yeah.
Saying this sounded the same thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I was looking forward. I was like, oh, it's going to be cooler in Florida.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What are the chances?
Right. Yeah. Plus, it's rained like nonstop. It feels like
It was
for
like
almost like
raining
8
and 60
weeks.
and then 100 degrees.
Wow.
It was wild.
Mhm.
So, where do you guys live at? And tell us a little bit about what you do and who you are.
Sure. So, my name is Pinky Patel. I am the director for the Philadelphia Child and Family Therapy Training Center. The center has been around for decades, but it formerly existed as what many of us know as the Child Guidance Clinic, which was founded and run by Salvatore Minuchin, who's very big in the family therapy world and is known for his structural family
I love
therapy.
just how we're just dropping the names in
Yeah,
here.
right?
Yeah. I hope to
No
be,
big
I hope
deal.
to be a union someday. Just FYI.
Right.
Yeah. So tell us what does that mean? Give me like a little. What does that mean for folks that don't know?
Yeah, so for us, we are very much about providing education, consultation, and supervisions in systemic work, systemic thinking, not just family therapy work, right? So it's very much about engaging individuals, whether they're children, adolescents, or adults, through their social ecology and the world around them and helping them to restructure, if you will, and re-engage through the various relationships they have, both within their immediate households as well as their community, as well as formal and other formal and informal supports that they may have.
Like in the whole system, the whole ecology.
Yeah. Yep.
Beautiful. Awesome. Awesome. Do you want to introduce yourself and add a
Yeah.
little bit of that?
Yeah, I am Jennifer Benjamin. I am the associate director. My role in the training center is to help foster the development of curriculum being strength based, context sensitive, trauma informed, and relational, making sure that we are focusing on that every family has a unique culture and that we need to make sure that as professionals, we're fostering our ability to attend to our own stuff so we can help families become their own best resource for change.
So we do the personal work, and then we do the community.
You can't do the community work if you can't look at yourself. You're not going to be able to reach your full potential and help the family reach their potential, right? Because families have been in this without us,
Right.
right? And nobody's going to influence a youth more than the caregiver. It doesn't matter who you think
Yeah.
you are as a professional, right?
Yeah.
The most impactful person is their caregiver.
Well, and also in every culture, right? There's new nuances of how and who we learn from, right? Because some it's your elders, right? Some and that the important pieces that we have. We see ourselves in this system as a concrete piece.
Yeah.
And each person doing their own work, not as I heard you say, not just in the beginning, in the middle, at the end, on the other day, all the time, so that we can maintain that vehicle for helping others.
Yeah. What I really love and appreciate about the model that we use, which is ecosystemic structural family therapy, but the work that we do is, so often when we go through the professional trainings and graduate programs, we're taught to leave our authenticity at the door sometimes, and our lived experiences at the doors. But what we talk about is that becomes your own. There's strength in
Medicine.
what you've
Mhm.
endured or what you've experienced in life, right? And that lends itself to your authenticity. And oftentimes it's how do we use that in service of the work that we do with the individuals and the families that we service. So rather than fighting that, it's embracing it and
Yeah.
welcoming it into the therapeutic space and using it to help families become their own agents of change.
I always do this little hand thing in training, right? I'm like, so raise up your dominant hand, right? And shake it. This is who you are as a person, right? And this is who you, other hand, this is who you are as a professional. Now go like that. And everywhere we go, both go with us, right? Like you can't go into a home without who you are as a person. And it's actually who you are is what
Yep.
convenes families,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
Because families sniff you out.
Yeah.
If you're being fake, if you're not really showing who you are, they're not going to be convened. It doesn't matter how many certificates and training,
Sure.
right?
Yep.
They want somebody who's going to keep it real.
Yeah.
Meaningful relationships.
Mhm.
One of our pioneers and leaders, John Franz, actually at this conference years ago, he talked about how with every family we're changed, right? And how people
Yeah.
that don't understand that, oftentimes like they themselves kind of become corroded and kind of
Mhm.
lose their
Yes.
own connection to the world.
Yep.
And he talks about that change, and when you recognize the dance, Virginia Satir, that's where I was
Yes.
going, right?
Yeah.
Virginia Satir and the dance, and this idea that
Yeah.
like every interaction you're changed, and when you
Mhm.
honor that journey, you can also impact other people's
Mhm.
journeys. That's beautiful. And Tracy and I say this all the time. We talk about, what does it mean to be culturally competent, right? What does that really mean? What does it mean to manage your implicit bias, right?
Yep.
Your unconscious, right? What does it mean to do that? And people say, well, we just check it at the door, and then we laugh, right? And
Yeah.
we're like, yeah, that's like cutting off your arm. I get it, the arm thing.
Yeah.
It lines up so well
Yeah.
because we say it's not about trying to check them at the door because that'll do harm.
Right.
Like trying to hold yourself back will harm. Inside, you might experience turmoil. in
Correct.
fact,
Correct.
Versus integration, right?
Mhm.
It's like I am all of these things, and when I integrate them in the right way and use them, I can be all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
I also love that you guys are talking about this important piece of every family has a culture.
Oh,
Yeah.
please
Oh my
say it
God,
again.
yes.
Say it again.
Culture because
Yes.
it does speak, and families aren't a monolith, even if they're uh, if they're all African American, if they're all
Right.
Hispanic American.
Culture is more than race and
It's more than
ethnicity.
race.
Yes.
Mhm.
It's individuality. It's where you live. It's all those things. It's
Yeah.
who you are, and individuals within that family as well.
Yeah.
And it's so important. If we're not understanding that and honoring that,
Yep.
we're definitely going to miss something.
And
Yeah.
us. And us.
Yes.
Yeah.
And here's the thing that I love about what you're saying, right? Is that what exactly is culture? And culture, to your point, is it's rules, rituals, and beliefs that inform us of how we show up, right?
Mm.
How we lean in or turn away from each other.
Mm.
That's really what it is. And I think to that point, what happens when you talk about every family has their own culture, and it's important that we understand that is it goes beyond their own best resources. They become experts
Mm-hmm.
in their family and on their family,
Yeah.
right? And so they show up in a way where now they feel empowered, and they're not looking at us to give them the answers,
Right.
but to look toward to us to collaborate, partner with them in coming up with realistic, feasible solutions in ways to manage
It also
rather than fix.
Yeah.
it
sure.
also helps
Live in.
Yeah.
with the burnout idea,
Mhm.
right? Because how many times do you go in a family's home, they turn and relate to you in a certain way, and you take it personal,
Oh yeah. So this is on the opposite of that, right?
right?
Yeah.
And so the other
You don't
side
got
of that,
kids. What do you know about
yeah,
kids?
it's
right?
not personal; it's systemic, right? That the way they're relating to you is based off of their social ecology.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not because of who you are. It's like they're just doing what their family's been doing for generations.
In their relationship to the system or whatever.
Yep.
It is,
Right. So you have to have self-awareness, because in that moment when that happens, you have to be aware that your person is getting triggered,
Yeah.
but then be curious with them, like, oh, tell me more, help
Yeah.
me understand, so you can collaborate with them, because
Mm-hmm.
it's not your house, it's not your kid. And if they listen to you, then you're just getting compliance. You're not getting
Right,
real
we talked
change.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had this thought right now. Culture.
Yeah.
And I loved your words. You said rituals. There was three.
Rules, rituals, and beliefs.
Beautiful. We talk about it as the sum of all the parts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Meaning that like it's encompassing of it all, right?
Yeah.
From my affect, right? Like that's my culture, right? Like you could feel it, right? You could feel it. I just appreciated that and wanted to hear it again. So why don't you talk to us about like, typically there's like clinical world, right? And then there's this wraparound world, right? And sometimes they have a hard time coming together. I think that's also, maybe that's something that shouldn't be seen as often. And I wonder because everything that I'm hearing, us talking about here, it's like alignment, right? These
Correct.
clinical skills
Yeah.
translate into community building, cultural understanding, right? So why don't you talk to us a little about how you guys bring, like, how do you do that echo navigation within their community systems in a way that doesn't just create a clinical intervention, but one that also builds that community and does kind of like that wrap thing in there.
Yeah.
Did it make sense of my question or my thought there?
It does. I think,
Yeah.
the way that you put it is, I had a trainee who shared this beautiful proverb with us, right? Around when a child doesn't feel the warmth of the village,
I know. Keep going. I know.
they will burn the village down to experience that warmth, right? And what you're talking about in that question is, how do we create that village that helps the individual and the family feel the warmth
Yes. Yes.
outside of just
Right. Or how do
you,
you
me,
or
and
cultivate it inside of them to
yeah,
be willing
exactly.
to try it, right?
Exactly.
Well, and if you believe they are their own best resource, then you believe when you walk in the door, it's already there, right? But they're so dislocated because they're suffering, right? Suffering people isolate that, your job as a professional is to help them see what they already have. You can't psychoeducate strengths into people, right?
Right.
That's not a thing,
It's genius. Sorry,
right?
Yeah.
that's really good right there.
Mhm.
Yeah. But you can look at what their life is already and see what's already there. There's internal resources. There are strengths in all of them and as a family, and there are probably people around them that have really valuable resources to offer as well.
Right. Beautiful.
And I think being willing to see and appreciate those strengths, because many times what I've seen in my experience, with our kids and our families, is that because of all the things, the trauma, the things they've experienced, that's the last thing people are looking at.
Right.
They're
It's
coming
hard
to
to see.
It is.
and so and a willingness to be able to see that as well
Mhm.
on our part, right?
Mhm.
And how do we do that? And so what do we? To me, I think, what are we doing?
Yeah.
for our
Well,
goals?
and so we start looking at it as, rather than what is the problem and how do we fix it, we start looking at, how did we get here, right? It starts to answer the question of what
Yeah.
happened, right? And then to your question of, like, when you take that approach, you start looking at what were the positive, negative, neutral experiences of the individual, and how did they overcome those, right? Who noticed it first? Who else was
Who
there?
taught that to you?
Who taught that to you, right? Who else might have experienced those things during that same time? So we start looking at all of these life events, and we break them down into various components, down to even where the world of clinical and wraparound meets is, we start looking at, who are the other professionals involved, schools, community, right? And talking about culture, schools have their own culture, they have their own expertise. So
Right.
rather than coming in and making assumptions that I'm the clinician and I know what's best, I get to stay in my area of expertise and turn to you as the school and say, tell me more about what your experience has been and what you've been using to help them.
I think about what you're saying and what you're bringing up. One of the unifiers between clinical world and rap is we all sit in this space of having to gather certain information to get
Mhm.
paid.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, that information often pathologizes the child and the family suffering in order to
Yeah.
get payment. And so
Sure.
the flip side of that unifier is we all have to be willing to go against the grain, right? Like we have to be willing to fill out the paperwork and then say, where's the resiliency? How do we use what this
Right.
caregiver already has
Yep.
to help them turn to the school and be the lead at the
Yeah.
educational
Yeah.
meeting,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
How do we help them have their voice be the loudest at the table, or as whether we're clinical or rap, how do we turn to other professionals when they are pathologizing the caregiver and say, well, based off of my training, how I think about the family is this caregiver's the answer that we need at the table. We can't do it without them. And that goes against the grain, right? Being able to
Yes.
say that to another professional in a way that calls them in instead of calling them out.
Right.
Yes.
These are highly clinical skills.
Yeah.
Right. I'm
Well,
telling you.
Yeah.
but I would argue,
Yeah. Come on.
right? I mean, we weren't always clinicians,
Right.
and we had to sit at the table and be able to, when somebody's like, oh, I hope that the caregiver doesn't show up,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I hear you,
Mhm.
and I don't know how we help their child if they don't show up,
Mhm.
Yeah. Right.
right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Right?
And I appreciate your comment a lot. It's more the personal work again.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I see is like what
Mhm.
that clinical power is like. I can not let my own get in this here. Right.
Yeah.
I can bring you in because this is for the good of them. And I
Right.
know you're there too. Right.
It's
Powerful.
slowing ourselves down, right?
Yeah.
Because even as a clinician, have I fallen into the trap when I've gotten a call from another professional to say, "Hey, this adolescent or a kid is acting out, and I need you to come and like crisis
Yeah, do your
manage
magic."
this, do your
Come
magic,
fix it.
come
Yeah,
fix
fix
it,
it.
come fix this, right?" And it's like, oh yeah, because we also
Yeah.
got into this field
Sure.
because we want
Sure.
to be
Ego's real.
helpful.
We
Ego's
want
real.
a gold star.
We want a
Yeah.
gold star too.
Yeah.
And so it's very easy to fall into that trap. And it's a lot of deliberate practice in supervision and role
Good.
play. And it's a lot of like intentional work like you're talking about
Yeah.
to say, hold on. Let me think this through, right? Like, what do I need to do? What does my clinical model that I practice, whether it's the wraparound model or the family therapy model, tell me I need to do right now?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I need to be working through the caregivers because I need to teach them how to fish rather than just handing them fish all the time.
Yeah.
Well,
Help
think-
them heal.
Yes.
Right. We know generational trauma. like,
Correct.
right. Not to mention the system-induced generational trauma.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna add something.
Well, we think about what Pinky's saying is, so we work in life altering, life threatening situations, whether you're clinical or non-clinical. We walk into
Real
them
time.
every day.
Yep.
And so isn't it interesting in other professions, pilots, first responders, they work in life altering, life threatening situations. They deliberately practice thousands of hours. Why, why wouldn't we do the same? Because for a pilot, we don't want them to be like, oh, I'm sad today. I'm just gonna not fly the plane the right way. Right? Or we don't want our surgeon to
We
say
fly
like,
way too much.
but
Yeah.
you know what
Yeah.
you know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
it's so
Like,
true.
right? So I mean, we're doing life altering work, right? So why wouldn't we be in supervision preparing so we don't get self-protective in those moments? Whether our ego causes us to take it personal or our ego causes us to activate and be the reason something changes, because we have to discharge. The service is always discharge. They're not forever.
Very well said.
Yeah.
This has been really great, Tracy. What do you think?
No, I'm just saying I love the intentionality around how we show up and
Yeah.
how we understand
Mhm.
the experiences that we may have had being different. Could be in the way that we're approaching and things that we're doing and how we are looking at it. And so, really thinking about that. Then, why is it different for Pinky than it is for me? And what, how can I also see some of the strength that are happening?
Yeah.
And capture and leverage that so that we're aligning, but also that the family is getting what they need.
Yep.
Because it is school or it is, work, it is
Yeah.
their job training, it is
Yeah.
whatever those things are.
Here's the beautiful part about working, and I think what we're talking about is intersectionality, right? In that space, if you look at a Venn diagram where things sort of overlap, is it's not important. It's not only important to know the parts that are different, but it's also important to know the parts that are similar and to be able to work across the continuum of both.
Right. Right.
Because that's where you get to hold your power and expertise. I get to hold mine, but we get to share in it.
I was thinking about duality and and maybe non-duality, right? This
Yeah.
idea of like really kind of setting back and not even, for example, we practice and talk about all day long. Like we don't see diagnoses are great and they're informative, but like that doesn't create the full picture, right? And it's like I remember early in my career, people using things like, "Oh, this mom's a borderline," and I didn't understand what that meant then. But now, I got you right in the throat if I ever hear you say that, right? Not you guys, of course not. Sorry to scare you there. But it's this idea of like, we are so much more than that, right?
Yeah.
And I like this idea of kind of like integration of here's our worries about the child or the behavior, right? But
Right.
then also there are strengths associated with that specific worry or that behavior, and how do we use those and draw them out and integrate into one,
Yeah.
right, that understands that I am a massive force of like peace and destruction, right, and I am those two and I can use them in all of my ways. And I think about how important that is, not just for staff but giving that self concept, to people,
Yeah.
right, especially youth that have been often labeled are defined by their
Correct.
behavioral expression of
Yep.
life.
Yep, they're defiant, they're resistant, right?
Right.
They're
Yeah.
oppositional,
Right.
all of those things. But when we look at it in terms of the relationships, these problems become so much more solvable, right?
Mhm.
Because we start to look at what is the defiance, the opposition, what's that actually signaling
Yeah.
that is happening for this individual, right? What are they not getting or what are they missing in terms of how they're experiencing the world around them or how the world around them is experiencing them?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What are their needs? Right?
Yeah.
This is we just.
Yeah.
I mean, we're at 500 level now,
Yeah.
listeners. In case you're not paying attention here, what do we talk about with with Dr. Lori Ellington? We talked about the biological imperative for a community nervous system,
Oh yeah.
right? And being able
Yeah.
to borrow, and how important is it you do, and how, and if you don't have, if in all your world is this chaos,
Yeah.
you don't have that nervous system to borrow. So what I'm hearing is we're really talking about building like that. Even
You can't heal in
self-awareness.
isolation.
Yes.
You can't.
Yeah.
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 I've never met anybody who's done that.
No,
I've never
I
seen it.
actually I know.
We know a lot of people who try them.
Some of my friends actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, many
Yeah.
people do.
Wow. I've really appreciated our time. We when we go through and kind of think about the people we really want to spend some time with, you guys are one of them. And we're like, wow, look at this list. Is there anything else you just want to make sure you say before you get out of the show? And then Tracy, you want to close this out, man. But first, is there anything you want to say? Just make sure, and this is your time to braggadocious. You got a TED Talk, got a book, got a whatever. Let us know. What do you want to share?
No, well, just encourage you to check out our certification programs that we offer for
Yeah.
paraprofessionals and professionals.
Yeah.
Really looking to bolster their ability to see families for what they bring to the table instead of trying to own all of it and be emotionally responsible for the change. So
We ain't fixing
Yeah.
nobody. Yeah.
No, and if you go to our website, which is pcfttc.com, you can go on there and sign up for the newsletter. And every month, Jen does a fantastic job, but every month there is pro tips on how to engage individuals and families, how to collaborate with other professionals,
that's great.
how to even just, engage in your own self work,
Yeah.
like we're
Yeah.
talking about here. So I really
Freebies.
encourage, lots of
Freebies.
freebies. I encourage everybody to go.
Yeah, it's
on
all
there and
free.
sign up. Yeah.
Wonderful.
yeah.
We like
great.
free, right?
Yeah.
Jason?
Yeah.
Well, this has been great to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming. This has been really informative, and
Yeah.
I'm loving what we're hearing, and definitely going to check out that website and see what that's all about. But really, thank you for coming this way and giving us information, and I'm really appreciating and hoping that we can have some greater partnerships in the future.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank you,
so
guys.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Good
you.
job.